This weekend, I, alongside a ton of other people, got the opportunity to play the Duskbloods via the Duskbloods Network Test. They held a few sessions over the weekend, 4 hours each, where you just got to essentially play the game. The first one, of course, was an absolute wreck, but soon after the second one happened and it went successfully. People were able to play the game. I was able to play the game. I played in a few of the network tests, and I'm just here to talk about my experience. The long and short of it is that it was really fun. I have never played a FromSoft game before, so I didn't really know what to expect, especially since this was my first one. But I don't know, I had a lot more fun than I kind of was expecting, especially based off the premise of a multiplayer light battle royale like FromSoft experience. Of course, I want to talk all about my experience, but I can't show any screenshots, videos. I'm not allowed to share those from the network test itself. I'm not just here talking with no visual aid next to me. Why not just make a bunch of really, really great drawings to represent my time while playing the Duskbloods? You didn't know I'm an incredible artist, so I think, the general gameplay, if you didn't get the chance to play or aren't, looking at any of the multiple screenshots and videos people are still posting online, I think you'll still get a good idea of what the game's like via my incredible artwork. So, of course, to start, I think we should begin by talking about the characters in this game. I'm going to go bottom up in terms of my least favorite to my favorite character to play. Least favorite was Trong. I had no fun playing this character. Again, I've never played a FromSoft game, but even that aside, I am not a very good action game player. I don't have very good reaction speeds. I'm not very good at attacking, but also worrying about dodging, parrying, whatever. And to be good at this character, you need to be really good at getting in there, getting some quick hits, and then jumping out, dodging, parrying, whatever, right? That's essential to playing this character, and I just can't do it. Each of the characters have a quick, short attack and then a long attack that takes a little bit more time to wind up, alongside, some other abilities and fun things. And her main attack, at least, her main short one, is just a very short kind of like slash of her blade. Doesn't really do too much damage, but, it happens quick enough you're meant to do a bunch of them in a row, and then you very quickly just kind of zoom out, or dodge, or I don't know, whatever. I just can't do it, man. I guess I'll say something that really surprised me about this game, especially because my experience with FromSoft is just seeing videos of people playing FromSoft games. And aside from Sekiro, the general idea I get from like the Souls games, Bloodborne, even Elden Ring, is that you move pretty slow. You don't move sluggishly, but it just seems like you don't move that fast. You have to rely a lot on using your dodge rolls at the exact right moment to kind of get out of the way, then get more hits in, then keep going. And aside from that dodge roll, there's not that much else seemingly in terms of mobility. Again, I haven't played these games, so there probably is. I just don't know. But this game surprised me in that there is a surprising amount of just mobility in here. You can do one really high jump and then up to 3 mid-air jumps, and then also this very nice like dash that you can do, of course, on the ground or in midair. It allows for so much mobility. If you're very skilled with this, you could very easily be parrying, blocking, zooming in and out, jumping all over the place, gaining, putting your distance between you and your enemy, or closing in very quickly. And that's all well and good. I'm just not that good at it. And playing as her, I just couldn't get any headway on many, difficult enemies or even against other players. It just doesn't work. Next is Senator Zombie. I would call him similar to Trong in terms of general speed and needing to get in there and do a bunch of small hits and get out. I don't know, that's just the general idea I got. I think she's quicker than him, but I'm still not that good at this type of character. I guess I'll also say I drew their weapons, so that's her blade. She has like these circular blades. She can also like throw them. Each character also has like a ranged attack, and hers is nice. You just shoot at them, throw like 3 blades, and they might hit. I kind of don't remember what his ranged was. I just didn't have that much fun playing this bald zombie. His Ape, like the sword he uses, like a fencing sword, it's nice and good for getting in like some good quick hits. It even like staggers people a little bit sometimes. But otherwise, just not that good at using him. He did have this fun ability where if you got high enough, his special ability was that he could like briefly turn into a dinosaur and attack people. And I think that is very goofy and fun. Unfortunately, when I was playing him, I never got the chance to use it because I would never level up high enough to even use that attack consistently, or I would just also forget about it. So didn't really like playing him too much either. Just not a character I'm good at. Then we have Al here, Albert, I think is his actual name. He's kind of, you know, your default character, the main one, and I think he's fine. He's a good all-around character. Like, his main sword is good. His main ability, where he just kind of slashes blood at people, I don't know, is also pretty good. His range is nice. It's just this kind of like machine gun kind of spurt of ammo. He's just a fine character to play. Good basics, but I didn't find myself really going back to him too much. None of his weapons or abilities stood out enough to where I wanted to like use them specifically. They're all just good, you know? Good overall. Good all-arounder, but nothing for me to specifically latch on to and have fun playing. My third favorite was Layla here. Sniper Layla. Sniper Bald Zombie. His main melee weapon are these two swords he uses, which are closer in spirit to something like Trong or Center Samir. They're pretty fast, short blades, in and out, whatever. So you'd think I wouldn't like this. You know, he has the short, quick, fast weapons that I'm not good at. But what I did like about him was his other weapon, his stupid sniper rifle here on his back. He, of course, all the characters have some sort of ranged attack, but I liked his the most because it is just a sniper weapon. Whenever you lock on to an enemy, even from far away, he could just use a sniper gun and absolutely decimate them. And it turned out to be kind of a fun rhythm, where if you were like sniping someone from far away before they saw you, once you got into genuine combat and they were going after you, you could try for your blades, but then also, again, due to the very good mobility, very quickly put space between you and your enemy, jump, fly back, and then immediately take out your gun and just start sniping them. It never got old. It was really fun to do. Again, I'm not good at this, okay? I was not consistently able to like jump back and like start sniping people, but whenever I did, it was really fun and satisfying. Very satisfying to immediately from like far away see just a huge chunk of their health bar just go away whenever you snipe someone. It was surprisingly fun. Okay, getting into our top two here. We have Zork at number 2. This guy is hilarious. He's this weird, I don't know, he's wearing like an underwater suit and he's fighting with this gigantic torn pipe chunk. Him and our number 1 here both had very heavy melee weapons. They were a bit slower, of course, but just still heavy regardless. Whenever you did land a hit on someone, it would stagger them, it would take out a large chunk of their health, and I don't know, I just enjoyed playing that style of weapon more. His pipe here is good at staggering enemies, kind of getting them almost in the stunlock, even other players too, and again, takes out huge chunks of health, so it's for me at least, good to use, because again, I could never really take off health with these guys, but this guy, whenever I did land a hit, I was at least guaranteed to take out a large chunk of health, which I think is good for me. Something else that's great about Zork is his, ability, which is essentially a jetpack. His normal ability is like a missile that he can shoot, but if he gets, high enough leveled, he gets a jetpack. It can just start ramming into people. It takes a bit to charge up, so it's, not the easiest thing to pull out in the middle of, a one-on-one or two-on-one fight or whatever. But if you can pull it off, like charge up the jetpack and aim it and hit someone, it's incredible. You could zoom across an entire arena, hit someone straight on, they just get lunged back from the force of it. It just immediately decimates a part of their health. It's really fun to land. Not easy to use, but very satisfying to land whenever you do use it. And it's also just funny to use a jetpack like that in the middle of a fight. Zork's innate ability also allows him to steal max HP from his victims, which just means, for me, it's good because, again, I'm not good at these games. But if it means the more I play as Zork, the more I kill people, kill other players, the higher my HP goes, like the bigger it is, all the better for me, man. More HP, that means I'm at least staying alive longer than like a team fight or something. Team fight, what? Whoa. The spirit of Overwatch just possessed me. Team fight. What does that even mean? And my favorite character used was Jan. He's so fun. Same as Zork, he has a very heavy weapon. It's that axe you see right there. I don't know why he's wearing like a onesie. That's why I put a bunch of Z's there. He's sleeping. He's wearing pajamas to this fight. I don't know why. Just like Zork, Jan has this big axe. Very slow to use, but whenever you do hit and it lands, it's satisfying. It takes out a large chunk of health. It's fun. I pretty much never used the shield or block button in this game. I know it exists. I just have made peace with the fact that I am not going to ever be able to successfully be good at blocking or defending or whatever. I just can't do it. I'm not that good at countering, man, especially in the middle of a fight like this. I just don't have that reaction speed to be like, they're about to hit me, time to pull up my shield. My immediate reaction is more so just to dodge away, which is usually what I ended up doing in this game. Whenever I knew I needed to like dodge an attack, it'd just be easier to hit dodge or dash or whatever, and then, you know, you can use an iframe and get out of there. It's fun. Way more dependable for me than, you know, trying to use a shield at the right time, and at least, you know, you're out of the action, you can go back in. Zork and Jan, I think, are best for that type of playstyle where you're not really even trying to block attacks. Both of these, I think, benefit from a playstyle of not really knowing how to guard, because you don't really have to. In some ways, it is a bit easier to just kind of zoom out of the way and then go back in for another heavy hit than it is to try and block with these characters. And I think for that reason is just why I enjoyed playing them more. Especially Jan for me, because again, I can't block, so even when I'm trying to dodge, sometimes, you know, you're gonna get hit, but Jan allows it to where if you counterattack after you get hit and you land it successfully, you heal a portion of your health, which is perfect for me. Going into a fight expecting to, you know, still get hit, but I can just immediately after try landing another hit back on that person and heal some more health, incredible. Lovely. Love playing it that way. So yeah, Zork and Jan are the best. I should have planned how I ordered this more. These two should be at the top. It doesn't really matter. So these are the characters you're playing as, but what's the game? What are you even doing with these characters? What's the point? So, and I didn't know this beforehand. I don't even really know how much information was revealed about this game ahead of time. All I know is that it existed and it was a multiplayer FromSoft experience. So imagine my surprise when I start playing this, and it's kind of like a battle royale game. Battle Royale FromSoft. Each match is you and 8 other players running around this map over the course of 4 rounds. And all throughout the first 3 rounds, you're just running around this map trying to defeat enemies, collect items, whatever, try to, you know, boost up your abilities while also collecting points called virtue. You and the other 8 players are ranked against each other by these virtue points, and the people with the lowest virtue points at the end of the 2nd and 3rd round are culled from the game. Eventually, as the rounds go on and people are culled, then last round happens, 3 remaining players fight it out against each other, and then the last person standing wins. That's the format of the game. So, pretty simple. 4 rounds, try to run around map, get virtue points to stay in the game, and then the last 3 people remaining in the last round fight it out. Very simple. How do you get virtue? Well, luckily, I could talk about that too. So there are 6 different ways you can earn virtue in this game. First of which is flame virtue. This is pretty simple. Just throughout the map, there's a bunch of dead bodies sporadically strewn out, and if you light these specific ones on fire, you get virtue for it. But the catch is, of course, only the first person that gets to the body and lights the fire or whatever can get the virtue. It's a first come, first serve. Run around the map, try and explore. If you find one, then you light it, then you get free virtue, because you're the first one there. Pretty simple. I, unfortunately, never really got a good handle of the map, so I was never able really to find these first and get them. By the time I always got to these corpses, someone had already found them and lit them, so it was never really a good source of virtue for me. And me not really knowing where anything was in the map is not a fault of the game at all. It's a pretty well-designed map. There's a lot of very distinct kind of areas to go through and a lot of good passageways, doorways, staircases, whatever. And again, your great mobility allows you to kind of jump all over the place. There's a lot of verticality to this map. You have like the upper cathedral and then city streets here, and then there's like a bog over here, and then underneath there's like sewers and alleyways and whatever. I am just prone to getting lost. That goes for video games and real life. So I was never really able to orient myself or find where these flame bodies usually you could find them, so never really got points that way. Next you have repulsion. There are strewn around the map random kind of boss level enemies called trespassers, and you get repulsion points for defeating them. These are enemies that are difficult, have a lot of health, will take you time to beat, and each round is timed, so in the interest of trying to save your time, it's usually best to attack these with a bunch of other people. They're essentially raids, you know, you're raiding enemies, and everyone who participates gets points. I think it's relative to how much damage you ended up doing, so that's a fun way to get points. I unfortunately also never really got points this way. I would unfortunately almost constantly die to trespassers. They're just so big, and I am not good or have any spatial awareness to know where they're trying to attack or if they jump where they're going to land, so I usually just ended up dying pretty quick. So sometimes I would, you know, do a good amount of damage and then get some virtue points once the people still there had like killed it after I died, but otherwise cannot really get points this way. It's not for me. Next are 2 ways to get virtue via a specific means called the ritual. Near the end of the 2nd and 3rd phases of, you know, the match, the map will highlight a specific area to be the ritual area. And by entering this ritual area, you can do one of two things to get virtue. The first being pledge. In the ritual area, there will be some, thing, yellow, big thing. I drew it. It's a very great drawing. That's what it looks like. That you can pledge, and you get virtue for pledging at it. Catch, of course, is that there's only one of those things to pledge at in the entire ritual space, and the only person to get the virtue is the last person to pledge before the match ends. So it's a matter of, do you want to go up and immediately try pledging? Someone else will probably take it from you, or do you wait for the last second to try and get in there and pledge before the match ends, and you can kind of swoop in and take the virtue for yourself. I also never really got points this way. Sometimes the ritual area will be big enough that I couldn't even find where you pledge to get the virtue, so I wouldn't even try. And of course, a lot of getting that virtue specifically involves being very quick, deft with it when you go in and kind of swoop and try to pledge them before someone else can and the match ends. Just not good at that. I think I tried pledging one time and then someone immediately took it and I just gave up. I knew I wasn't getting that. There was no world in which I, steal that from someone else. The second, and in my mind, more fun way to get virtue in a ritual area is by sword virtue. This one's simple. Just within the ritual area, kill other players. You get virtue for killing other players within that, area. This was surprisingly how I got a lot of my virtue most of the time. Some of the most fun I had in this game was fighting other players. I'm not saying I was having so much fun demolishing everyone else at all times. I think maybe half the time I would probably lose and the other half of the time I would actually beat people, but it's just fun. Even when I lose, it's fun. I think the full game, they said they'd have 12 characters you could play as, but at least in here where there's only 6, it's very easy to get a handle immediately of what your opponents can do and how you can best them. So it was just fun doing one-on-one or even sometimes 2 or 3-on-1 fights, and super rewarding when you eventually beat them and kill them and win. Again, I'm not good at action games, so I was not expecting to have this much fun fighting other players who were likely better than me. But I don't know. I was winning more than I was expecting because, again, I only win half the time, but even then I was not expecting to beat anyone at all, so rewarding in that way. But just fun, because in these ritual areas, usually everyone just flocks to them. So it's fun to just have 6 people all in the same area, all going at it. It's just chaotic and fun. And then there's 2 other ways to get virtue alongside sword. These 2 were usually the only other way I got virtue. First of which is Bloodsworn virtue. This one is just getting virtue for killing other enemies. You have your trespassers you can fight that get you repulsion virtue, but aside from those big boss level enemies, there's also, smaller, more regular enemies to fight, and by fighting those, you get Bloodsworn virtue. I think you're ranked alongside everyone else for who has defeated the most, normal enemies, because whenever I would get Bloodsworn virtue, it's, set by a rank, you're first place for Bloodsworn in terms of, I guess, enemies killed, so you get this virtue, and then it would be taken from me if someone, surpassed me on the ranking. I had fun with this, because this is also a way where you just kind of just get to ignore everything else. You just defeat a bunch of regular enemies, and if you're lucky, you get really high in the ranking, you get a lot of Bloodsworn virtue, and that's usually how I got a good chunk of mine, was just through this. Also, because I enjoyed fighting other players so much, you get sword virtue only if you fight and defeat another player while in the ritual area. But if you're outside the ritual area, or there isn't even a ritual yet, because again, that only happens towards the end of each phase. If you're just fighting a player normally and you defeat them, then that factors into the Bloods, where they just count as normal enemies. It just factors into the Bloodsworn virtue. And there's so many times where I just almost target other players just to see if I could defeat them. And whenever I did, get me some good Bloodsworn virtue. It's fun. It's fun attacking and half the time killing other players. Especially for me, again, I'm not very good at this game, especially not very good at finding the right, abilities or power-ups. There's no power-ups or abilities in this game. Things around the map to do to build up your character and get better. Wasn't very good at doing that all that well. So my favorite time to kill people would be right when the match starts, because everyone's almost on a level playing field because you just spawned. It was kind of fun being a menace. The minute the match starts, if you see another player, I'm beelining towards them, trying to immediately kill them. And then last way is Collector. This is kind of like Bloodsworn, where you're ranked alongside other players, where Bloodsworn is you're ranked for how many enemies you've killed. Collector is just how many items you collect. There's a lot of items strewn throughout the map, and if you just go around and collect them, if you collect the most, you get the collector virtue. I like this one a lot. It's essentially like just this giant Easter egg hunt where you're just running around the map and hitting Y to collect everything as you run past them. And I guess I just did it so often, especially since I was just aimlessly running around so much, that I would usually get first for the collector virtue. The collector way I view as the most, you're not really participating in the game, you're just kind of running around and collecting things, picking them up, and you're getting points for it. I find it very funny. I'm also, again, not good at this, so it was the easiest way for me to get virtue. So these are the main ways you get virtue to stay in the game and get to the end. Bottom three were my favorite ways to get it. Top three, I'm not very good at, so I never really got them. Could also very briefly talk about the trespassers in here. Trespassers, of course, being the boss level enemies you fight to get repulsion. I am running out of space to put these. I have something else I'm gonna put there. So there we go. I'll just go back there. There's room, I think. So you can see that, right? There's not many trespassers to talk about. Again, I never really tried to go for these guys because I just figured I would die immediately and not really get points for it. So didn't search them out. But even on top of that, I don't know how many were in this game, but I feel like I didn't encounter that big of a variety of trespassers. There was one that was just a big guy with a sword on a horse, and he'd charge around and you have to defeat him. And then there was a trespasser who was just dual people with swords on horses. I guess I don't know if it was the same one as that horse, just with a different horse character. And then last but not least, and this was the trespasser I encountered the most, was this frog with breasts. And it would just jump up and jump down and crush you all the time. I encountered this frog so many times, and every single time I encountered it, it would jump up and I would be bad at reacting and it would just squish me and I'd immediately die. So didn't really like this frog that much. And that's it for, the basic gameplay loop. You pick one of these characters, get virtue one of these 6 ways, then you get to the end and fight the other people. Again, despite having a lot of fun, I'm not very good at this, so I never made it to the last phase where it's just a 3-person free-for-all. The longest I would make it is past the first culling and die at the second one right before that 3-person fight. I just couldn't maintain my virtue high enough. I'm not that good. But again, fun game. But we have one last thing to talk about, and it's a very integral part of this game, and it is the summons. I am aware that other FromSoft games have had some sort of summon before, but it was my first time, of course, playing one, and my first time encountering summons. And, happy me, little Nintendo gamer, come to find out, these summons are just Pokemon, man. I thought I was coming in to play a, multiplayer Dark Souls or something, but little did I know, it's just gotta catch them all. There will be these gigantic sigils where you can go and make a pact with a kin, or, as I like to put it, catch a Pokemon. And you have this one summon with you for the entire fight, and depending on the summon, they'll help you out, either fight with you, or buff you up, or do both, or protect you, or whatever. And as you fight and you yourself level up and get EXP, your Pokemon or summon or whatever will also level up. I would say it's incredibly necessary to have one of these. Like, one of the first things you should do when you jump into a match is immediately seek one of these out so you can summon one and just immediately start leveling them up. If you are in a fight with another player and you don't have a kin, but they have a kin, chances are you're dying. Hate to say it. They're just so necessary to the game, and I just want to talk about the ones I summoned. I think they said there were 8 total summons in the network test. I only got 6 of them, so I'll talk about the 6 I got. First of which was Fat Guy on a Chariot. I think his name is Valentius the Horrible or something like that. He's a pretty good summon. He's very large. I think he's the biggest summon, and he pulls so much attention away from you constantly. He's pretty good about attacking other players and enemies, so, he can help you out damage-wise, but I found him most useful at kind of deterring and diverting, attention away from myself. Very good. I get very happy whenever I see this guy come out with his chariot. As a fellow fat person, it speaks to me spiritually, you know what I mean? Next, we have this Fire Mage guy. I think he's Aventus Vester or something like that. He's a good attacker. He just comes in and starts shooting fire magic at your enemies. I found him to be okay. If you get him high level enough, he can really help you whittle away at enemies' health, especially from long distances because he always shoots out his fire magic, so a pretty good one to have, I would say. Then there's Nia, Sister of the Briar. This is just a lady with double swords, and I think she is easily the best offensive kin in the game. Whenever I summoned her and got her to a good enough level, she would easily help me out the most just in terms of pure damage. If you get her high enough level, it almost feels like a full second person is playing alongside you and helping you out, so she's always the one I tried to shoot for the most. These things are all random, by the way. If you go to a sigil and you try to summon a Pokemon, it's completely random who you get, and you can try going to other sigils and rolling the dice again to see who you summon, but then if you summon a new one, it gets lower level. I didn't care. If I got one I didn't like, I would still try to roll for her. She's easily the best one to help, help you out in a fight. Next is Gargoyle. I didn't really like Gargoyle. Gargoyle doesn't attack. It's just a gargoyle statue that sits there and gives you various buffs and protections. I never honestly paid enough attention to know exactly how it was helping me out when it was sitting there. Regardless, every single time I summoned this thing, I felt like it was doing nothing, and I would always have much better results whenever I was using any of the others, so I didn't like Gargoyle that much. Gargoyle sucks. I'm also, of course, completely counting the possibility that I'm bad at this game and just don't know how to use Gargoyle properly, but I don't like Gargoyle that much. I also don't know how to draw it. It's kind of a weird shape. I feel like it has some wings, and the bottom half of its body looks like kind of like a snake. So that's why I have these, because I don't know how it looks. You think I was going to take a hard look at Gargoyle and make sure I was getting the details right? Absolutely not. Next is the Black Wolf of Moor. It's just this big, angry wolf guy that helps you out. It is endlessly novel and fun to have a wolf following you around and attacking for you. Sadly, I did feel like the wolf did not ever really do that much damage. Like, it would help out damage-wise, sure, but I always felt like the Fire Mage or Sword Lady would always do consistently more damage than this guy, so I don't know. I would try to roll the dice some other times if I got this stupid wolf. And then last summon was Baritone. He is this absolutely massive, buff, shirtless giant, and he will help you attack, but primarily he sings. He is called baritone for a reason. He's a baritone singer, and he'll sing to help you in fights by giving you buffs or debuffing enemies or whatever, right? He's funny for that in his design. He's like this very big, large, physically imposing character, and then he just comes out and in fights is just mostly singing. Sometimes, he'll attack and tackle an enemy, but most times he's just kind of there singing. He is great for PvE fights, so any fight, where you team up with other players against a trespasser, very good, because, he can be there and help sing and buff all you guys up against the trespasser, and it really helps to eat away at the trespasser's health. Not very good for PvP fights, though. He does help by, giving you various buffs or whatever, but in a PvP fight, it's usually more helpful to just kind of have a summon that will help you do a lot more damage. I don't think the best summon, although it is endlessly funny to just have him around, because no matter where you are, he will be singing. He has to sing to give you his buffs or whatever. So 90% of this game, you will be hearing him singing no matter what fight you're in. It is a little funny, even if you don't have this guy, but like another player does, to be fighting them, and this guy's just kind of off to the side walking around like singing his, his heart out. It's a little funny. And that's all the Pokemon for this. I love the little Pokemon kin summon thing here. I think it adds so much to this game. And I think it only makes sense for me to say that because, again, I'm not a FromSoft game fan. I'm not even good at these games. So the idea that I could just have this little Pokemon-esque ally with me to kind of fight for me and help me out, and it's kind of funny, like you summon them and you don't know who you're going to get. It just appeals to me, and I feel like it is not really built to appeal to people who really care about this style of game. I remember hearing when, Elden Ring came out and people were playing it, a lot of, more hardcore fans saying like, oh, if you're using magic or summons or whatever, that's like cheating. You're not playing the games the true way by really like, getting in there with a sword or something. And whenever I heard people say that about Elden Ring, it's like, I get where they're coming from, but also I'm 100% one of those players that they'd be pissed at because I would 1000% be relying on magic. I feel like that's even more so here. So much of this game hinges on whether you have a kin or summon. A lot of good fights in the ritual area when you're trying to get sword virtue really hinge on the fact that you have a good summon, so it's just it's a fun inclusion, okay? I really enjoyed it. Overall, I, again, had a much more fun time playing this game than I was expecting. The map is big, and there's a lot to do, so no matter what strategy you have on however way you want to get virtue, there's just so many different ways to go about it. I really love, too, that you can kind of almost fast travel wherever you want at almost any time. If you're not in a fight, you can just open up the map and fast travel to the complete other end of the map, and that, I think, makes it so much more fun. You can be like, I want to go to the swamp area and fight this trespasser, and then immediately after I'm going to teleport to the chapel and try and find flame virtue there or something, and then collect things in the southern part of the map. It's just, you can jump all over the place. It allows for so much, planning and strategizing if you really know the map. Again, I don't know this map that well, so yeah, I wasn't able to do that, but I like the idea of it. I think it's fun concept. Something, too, that I couldn't help but think the more I played this game was that the entire, gameplay loop of coming in there, running around the map and picking things up, it was reminding me of something else I played. And I couldn't really put my finger on it until after I had played the most recent network test. But it's reminding me of City Trial from Kirby Air Ride. This stupid thing, the City Trial in here. If you don't know what City Trial is in here, it is a game mode, probably, the only game mode that really matters from Kirby Air Ride, where you and a bunch of other people are just in this city for a set amount of time, and you have to use that time to pick the right ship, pick up different power-ups and abilities, and then at the end of the time limit, you use all the abilities and whatever you gathered to fight the other players, either in a race or in an actual one-on-one fight or something, or, some other mini game. But point is, everything you're doing in the city for that time limit, eventually leads to you using all that you've accumulated in that final fight or whatever. And that's exactly what this goddamn game is. You spend multiple rounds running around this map, picking abilities, leveling yourself up, getting different powers or whatever, all for it to coalesce in this final showdown between the final players in this one-on-one arena. It is very City Trial coded, especially so because something else I didn't mention about this is that sporadically throughout the map, sometimes in between, phases or whatever, events will happen on the map. In between phases where you're trying to choose where you want to drop on the map, the game will be like, oh, if you want to go to the clock tower, there might be something there, or oh, this enemy is spawning a bunch in the swamp area and it gives you extra abilities if you defeat them, go over there. Just like Kirby Air Ride 2. Sometimes in City Trial, it's like, oh, a meteor's about to hit the city, or oh, there's a thief out there trying to steal power-ups, or I don't know, aliens are coming. Random events will happen whenever I would play this game, and oh, you should ring the clock tower to get virtue. Events are happening in this map that we're running around to try and collect power-ups. It's Kirby Air Ride, man! The Duskbloods Network Test, to me at least, was just Kirby Air Ride with a light touch of Pokemon. And it's a battle royale, so also also Fortnite, just to show that I'm capable of making game analogies that aren't just Nintendo games. And for that reason, I really liked it. I will say though, a bit weird of an inclusion, because if this is just Pokemon and Kirby Air Ride, there's already a Kirby Air Ride game on the Switch too, and we're going to be getting a Pokemon one at some point, so I don't know if this game really adds anything to the catalog of Switch 2 games variety-wise. Might not have been the right choice to invest in this. And that kind of does it for my thoughts. Again, I had a lot of fun playing this. I don't know, though, if this is necessarily something I'm going to buy and play myself, though. As much fun as I had playing this, I already have a large amount of games that I'm kind of looking forward to playing later this year. If you've seen my video on that, there's still a lot to come out that I'm looking forward to playing, so I'm not really eager to add another game to that list. Now, if it does come out this year, I don't know. At this point, there's still no date. I think they're still trying to maintain that it's coming out this year, but I would not be surprised if it got delayed. So we'll see. I'm still very interested. I went from not, very interested in this game at all to, because of this network test, I don't know, I could see myself genuinely playing this and having a lot of fun getting into matches and stuff. I'm not a very big multiplayer game person, but the gameplay loop in here is fun enough that I think I could see myself playing this on my own. Overall, it's a good, fun experience. Good, fun Kirby Air Ride experience, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's going to do it for this Various Tangents. Join me next time when I just play Kirby Air Ride. That's all I'm going to do.